Good afternoon. On behalf of Chairman Intact Shri Ashok Singh Thakur, Member Secretary Dr. Ravindra Singh, and everyone else at Intact, it is my privilege to welcome Vivek Menon, one of the best known names associated with wildlife conservation globally. Welcome, Vivek. Welcome back. He speaks today on securing rites of passage for elephants in India, into the challenges of habitat loss, fragmentation, and human elephant conflict, and showcases the Wildlife Trust of India's pioneering Rite of Passage initiative. Through scientific data, real world case studies, and ongoing success stories from across India, it highlights how securing 101 elephant corridors is essential to maintaining connectivity, ensuring coexistence, and safeguarding one of Asia's most iconic species. Vivek Menon is an India wildlife conservationist, environmental commentator, author, and photographer with a passion for elephants and birds. He has been part of the founding of 5 environmental and nature conservation organizations in India, the winner of the 2001 Rufford Award for International Conservation, the 2018 Whitley Continuation Award, and the 2019 Clark R. Bowen Award for his work to save the Asian elephant. Menon is the founder and executive director of the Wildlife Trust of India, as well as senior advisor to International Fund for Animal Welfare. In India, he plays a role in advising the government on natural heritage conservation as a part of several national committees, as well as having been part of the Indian delegations to CITES, UNESCO, and CMS. Internationally, he is the chair of the IUCN Species Survival Commission and counselor of the IUCN and chairperson of its Governance and Consultancy Committee. He is also the chairperson of the Amphibian Survival Alliance Global Council and on the international jury of the Future for Nature Awards, Netherlands. He's also the author or editor of 10 wildlife books, including the best-selling Indian Mammals, a field guide, scores of technical reports, and more than 250 articles in various scientific and popular publications. Vivek, I now invite you to the podium to take this forward. And may I request everybody here to please put your phones on silent.
Thank you, Manisha ji, for reading out my entire CV. Mr. Ravinder Singh ji, Mr. Ashok Singh ji. Good to be back here. I was here yesterday for a short while. And today, Manisha was asking me whether I'm familiar with your building, and I reminded her that I was working in the next building 30 years ago. So definitely have come here sometimes, but have not been coming for the last few years, yes. But glad to be here again. Okay, friends, so I think I've been given about 45 minutes. I will take around that time to take you through broadly the story of an animal which is at least about 2.5 million years old. So 45 minutes for that is not too bad, I think, to cover such a creature. Yesterday we touched, or the round table touched a bit upon the elephant in its cultural context in India. Today I will do more of the natural context, not really the cultural context, but you can see, and we talked about this yesterday, that the elephant is really there in all our ancient beliefs, scriptures, architecture, literally everything that is culturally there, which is why in 2010 we made it the National Heritage Animal of India. Although there's a national animal of India, the tiger. We realized that as a country we need one more animal that represents man and the animal's emotional connect. Okay? When we come back to conservation in ancient India, and yesterday I think Professor Sukumar mentioned it, but many of you may not have been there, that when you go abroad, people tell you that Yellowstone is the world's first national park, right? That the British had the first act for animals in the world, the Act for Animal Welfare in 1857 or something like that. Yeah, 1822, right? But if you read Arthashastra, Kautilya or Chanakya's or whoever, a set of people who wrote it at that time, 2,300 years ago at least, you will find the first protected area concepts of the world mapped out. Okay? And the edicts of Ashoka the Great, some of which is outside my house, actually talks about animal welfare laws, including what animals should be protected when, where, who can hunt it, if you hunt it illegally, how much gold ashrafas you need to give as a fine. So if this was not the first laws, the only countries which can challenge us may well be Egypt or China. But I cannot believe that the Western world, in any which way, were the progenitors of the first laws to protect nature. It was not written in English, it was not written in a book, it was carved on a stone, but they were laws of that time. In Arthashastra, Chanakya writes, and I'm paraphrasing, O king, for you to protect, and he's talking to Chandragupta Maurya, and he says, O king, for you to protect your kingdom, you need elephants. Then he says, but elephants do not procreate, do not give birth in places like you or me. Elephants need certain kinds of places. Then he describes the forest better than the forester of today. He actually says what tree species are there. He says this kind of forest. And then he describes in the empire of Chandragupta Maurya where are such forests found. And he says, O emperor, may you call these Gajavanas. Professor Sukumar's daughter, in one of his books, has actually redrawn it. Yeah, Gitanjali, who I've known as a young child, actually traced this whole thing back and redrew it. So in Trotman's book on elephants and monarchy, you will find a drawing of the Gajavanas, a map of the Gajavanas. You will find that it is not in South India, it stops at the Vindhyas. But that's not because elephants are not in South India, that's because Chandragupta Maurya's empire did not go there. So wherever the Mauryan Empire was there, Gajavanas were actually looked at, described, physically mapped in a sense, and protected. So perception matters, and I don't want to dwell on these pictures, but it's a god for some, it's a devil for some. Today, in today's age, people kill 200 elephants a year. Elephants kill 400 Indians a year. The fight is on. So it is not as easy to say it's a nice religious god and let's protect it. So there is a reality of the elephant which I am now going to start explaining to you. So when I describe an elephant, whether to a school child or to a head of state, and I talk to both quite frequently, I describe it in 4 words. And if you understand the elephant in 4 words, biologically, not culturally, then you can start thinking of how to manage it or how to save it. One thing, even if you ask the smallest child, is they will say elephant is big, right? That's something that everybody knows. The elephant is big. The big is biologically, an elephant is a mega herbivore, which means those things which are over 1,000 kilos and eat grass, simply put. Okay? So something that is over 1,000 kilos and needs to feed itself by grass and browse. And remember, an elephant eats grass and browse. Many people have this wrong thing. Hame jungle chahiye hati bachane ke liye. Absolutely no need for any jungle for elephant. It needs grasslands and scrublands and very dry forests, not Amazonian forests. There's another topic, and I don't want to go into detail, but I can tell you a lot about how it is actually foolish to just keep planting trees to save this world. If you plant only trees, you'll get only monkeys, right? You need to have all sorts of ecosystems, and grasslands are a very important part of it. Biologically, grassland is C3 carbon, forest is C4 carbon, elephant needs both. Otherwise, it will not live, okay? So it's a mega herbivore, and because it's a large animal, it needs to move. So the second explanation of an elephant is that it is nomadic. Okay, it's normally used for human beings, but really an elephant can also be called nomadic because it moves circularly almost in a fixed path, and like humans, they don't like being settled. And if you settle a nomad, it takes a long time, and they need to finally figure out that they need to settle. And elephants are also like that. You can't draw a line and say elephant reserve is ke andar ho. It will not. This is why the concept of elephant reserve in India has always faced a challenge as compared to Project Tiger, which is a great success. Because tigers, you can put a thing, a cat likes its own home. If any of you have kept cats, you know, कि उसको बाहर छोड़ो तो it'll come back, right? A cat has its territory. A cat wants to be in its place. A tiger is a cat. An elephant is not a cat. An elephant needs to move. If elephant doesn't move, it'll finish the land because it'll finish all that forest because it needs that sort of food because it's big. So biologically, it is conditioned to eat, move, eat, move. And by the time it finishes a circle in 1 year and comes back, this forest has grown back, this grassland has grown back. That is biology. If you confine it like in southern Africa, now they're talking about needing to kill elephants, which scientifically, politely is called cull elephants. But what is culling? Culling is killing. Why do you kill? Because they say that there are too many. Why are there too many? Or what is too many? When I went to Zimbabwe in 1994, they told me that too many was 1.6 elephants a square kilometer. Hamare Nagarole, there's 4 elephants a square kilometer, 5 elephants a square kilometer. We call it national park and we say Ganeshji. Why? So it's not the difference of the density of animals or the animal being different. It's an issue of the people being different and your tolerance levels being different and how you manage it. So putting a boundary around an elephant becomes problematic because it's nomadic. It's also social. It's matriarchal. Closest to my set of people, I'm a Menon. A Menon is a matrilineal society, not matriarchal, but anyway, one of the few societies in India which is matrilineal. Aishwarya is also a Menon sitting here. I can see. There are few in Meghalaya, and there is my community, which actually go from mother to daughter. The elephant also goes mother to daughter. The male at the age of 15 or 16 gets out and never comes back and will join another herd to mate and then go out. No job of rearing the young, no gender equality, nothing. Its job is mating and it goes away. Right? The mother brings up the young, the mothers lead the group, the mothers pass the wisdom on, the mothers pass the genetic as well as, genetic the fathers pass on also, but the generational memory from one thing to the other goes from mother to daughter. But very, very strongly social. So you may have heard of elephant herds, right? But elephant herds are formed of several families, not one. So it's like your colony. An elephant herd is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 families. But they have a different thing between kith and kin. You are in Delhi, but your aunt and your cousins are living in Jabalpur, and another aunt and cousin is in Guwahati, doesn't matter, or in America, it doesn't matter. You are still kith and kin. So when you manage, sometimes people say, we will take the whole family out. But they have another family somewhere else. And you know what? That family may be your son who has gone abroad. Maybe far away, but it's actually closer to you than the people next door. So it's like us. That's why yesterday I called it a near person. It's like us. And unless you know these intricacies, you cannot manage them. Yeah, they're very, very deeply social. And they're intelligent. They're more intelligent than most of my friends. Having lived now nearly 60 years, I can tell you that elephants are really intelligent creatures, right? Yesterday, again, I was saying they're near persons in terms of neurobiology. Yeah, they can talk to each other intergenerationally. They can recognize themselves in a mirror. They have memory. They have consciousness. They have many things that we think is only human. Elephants possess all of those. It's found in 13 countries in Asia. That's approximately the spread. As you can see, the highly fragmented little bits. Very interesting fact is 13 countries have elephant, 13 countries have tiger. And 12 of them are the same. The only difference is Sri Lanka has elephant, no tiger. North Korea has tiger, no elephant. Otherwise, South and Southeast Asia, the spread of elephant and tiger almost overlaps. In India, the tiger, of course, goes into Western and Central India where the elephants are not there at the moment. About, well, actually now we say closer to 29,000 elephants because this is a 2025 estimate. The new one has actually come out just a few months ago. So close to 29,000 elephants in India, approximately divided like this. A lot in Western Ghats, a lot in Northeast, and small populations in the Terai and also in Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh area. The problem is that we have got elephants sharing space with us. So the issue is not number. It's not of extinction. When I started my career nearly 40 years ago, there were 22,000 elephants or 20,000 elephants. Now there are about 29,000. If at all, number of elephants have gone up a little bit, not too much, but there's no major issue about number really. Yeah. By the way, there are 50,000 in the world approximately. Okay. I've given you some captive elephant population and all. I don't want you to go in. And yesterday again, Sukumar said this is a very important thing. We don't have domestic elephants. Many people keep asking me, domestic elephants, am I domestic? There's nothing called domestic elephant. They're catching them from the wild, putting a chain on the leg and tying them. That's not called domestic. Right? If you're a domestic dog, there's a wild thing called wolf. There's a domestic thing called dog. There's a wild thing called tiger. There's a domestic thing called cat. You test them genetically, they're different. The wild elephant and the captive elephant is one and the same. Every generation you're pulling them in and catching them and chaining them. You have never been able to tame them. You tame them to some extent, but not making them domestic. The genetics has not changed. So the same animal is a wild animal. Okay, they are protected all through. Appendix 1 of CITES, which means you can't trade in its ivory or parts. It's endangered in the IUCN Red List. One part of the Sumatran elephants, one subspecies, is critically endangered, almost about to go. And even the Convention of Migratory Species, the appendix. Basically, they're all protected all the way through internationally. But like I said, it's habitat loss which is the biggest problem. Actually, when I started my career, it was poaching. And for a number of early years of my life, I was combating poaching. I've done many things in my life, including in the very old days, going undercover even, right, and working. So that's for another day. One day I'll write a book on that. But so before I became a scientist, I was actually an activist. I tried to do something about it. But today, the problem is not really of poaching. There's some poaching going on, but elephants are dying because they're being hit by trains. Elephants are dying because people are killing them. And it's a very funny country of ours. We don't want to kill it because Ganesh ji hai. So we'll fire small bore. You know, so the elephant, when we get it, has got 22 bullet wounds. Nothing kills it. But cumulatively, the animal dies in great agony. Or you will put something which will burst in its mouth or something like that. Now, the elephant is Ganesh ji, we say. But look at this. Any Assamese here? Anyone who can read Assamese? Anyway, this is 11 elephants which were killed in Assam. Okay? And on it is written Dhan Chor, Bin Laden. Not Ganesh. Osama Bin Laden. Why is Ganesh ji being called Bin Laden? Why is an elephant being called Bin Laden? No connection except just a symbol of hate. Okay, so these elephants had gone into a crop field, the people have poisoned it, and some boy or something has scrambled onto it and written in chalk, Dhan Chor, Bin Laden. So this change in the human mentality or Indian mentality between Ganesh to Bin Laden is what is occupying my mind now. How to change that? The issue is not the elephant. The issue is how our human minds are changing. Which is why yesterday, as I said, many years ago, we launched the Gaj Mahotsav and the Gaj Utsavs, which are now going through India. And when I heard your program, the Gaj Lok, it's all the same thing. We have to really all join forces and ensure that this idea of the elephant being something which is unique to India and special to India must continue while we do our management as well. Some figures, it's huge, the number of people who are being killed and things. So it's a real problem. You know, when I go to Africa, and I go very often, I was there just last week, you know, I was sitting with 3 ministers the other day, and they were saying, oh, there's great human-elephant conflict, etc. And I asked, there were two lady ministers next to me from Botswana and Zimbabwe, and I asked them, how many people die in your country? And they said, die? No, nobody dies. So, okay, how many houses? No house. So it's small amount of conflict, which for them politically is big conflict. For us, it's really huge conflict, actually. The amount Indians are actually tolerant is extraordinary, which I think can only happen in this sort of a ethical, value-based thing. I keep saying we're not saving elephants because of science. We're not saving elephants because of, it's what our grandmother teaches us, actually. This is what is saving elephants in this country, not even law, right? So anyway, it's a unique place we live in. So the issue is this. Why would you say mar, and this thing, right? I won't get too much into it, but that's reality. If I look at my WhatsApp feed every morning, there'll be 200 such things. People are sending me stuff from all around India because they think I'm an elephant person, so they'll send me. So many people are killed. I mean, this is my morning thing. Early morning before coffee, I get all these things, right? Now we have to have solutions. Solution is land. So many years ago, we tried this in Wayanad, which is a highly contested area, huge amount of conflict, highly literate population. And in Kerala, in that sort of a thing where politically it was completely also very, very difficult, we showed by relocating 5 villages, it took me 10 years, with the villagers' consent, taking them out of an absolute war zone and giving them new lives, making them happy, and giving elephants this chicken neck to connect 10,000 elephants between Karnataka and Kerala. If that thing was not given, it's a chicken neck, right? If that thing was not given, elephants would continue getting killed and people would continue getting killed. So this is the idea which brought the Elephant Corridor book nearly 17 years ago, that corridors are small, linear, narrow areas which connect two habitats. What is a habitat? A place which gives food, water, shelter. 3 things. That's habitat. Okay? If you connect two habitats, that's called a corridor. It's not some place which we build like industrial corridors. I still remember when we first proposed it, one minister in one of the states, I'm not naming him, actually told the press, never will corridor come and cut our state. We will not allow Wildlife Trust to build a corridor. Then I had to call him and say, "Hum koi build nahi kar rahe. We are not building anything. We are talking about natural thing which is there." Yeah? How do we determine this is a corridor? I am not going and putting lines. We follow the back of the elephant. Elephant luckily puts dung. You can see corridor kahan hai aapka. Ashwamedh yajna. Jahan wo ghoda jata hai, wo mera zameen hai. Jahan wo hathi jata hai, wo mera zameen hai. So you follow the elephant, you know which is a corridor. You don't need too much of science for this. Only thing you will follow it over the years to know exactly, is it just going for one small thing or is it real? Okay. And we have done this now for more than 20 years. Don't worry about the science in this, but basically a concept is corridor has to be from somewhere, a habitat to somewhere. It cannot be somewhere to nowhere, nowhere to somewhere, nowhere to nowhere. Ye nahi ho sakta. So if you go to, many people in the forest department or others may say this, yesterday I saw an elephant going like this, it's a corridor. No, everywhere we go is not a corridor. Everywhere we go is not our highway. We may go to the bathroom also, and then come back. But that's not, I don't want to say it's a general corridor, right, of movement. So you need to figure out what is an important corridor, which we have done. When we first did it, there were 88. We published it in a book called Rite of Passage. I think my biggest problem was not the scientists, but getting all the scientists to co-author it. And I literally got all the 25 odd elephant scientists co-authoring it. So everybody agreed that this is the corridors of India. And all the states endorsing it, every state government endorsing it. That took me about 3 or 4 years to get that book out. Not in writing it. Writing it took maybe half a year. But endorsing it and going through the process of Government of India and the states approving it. That then, why is it important? Of course, there's also genetic flow, apart from the connectivity, which I also told you. Okay. So this one, which came out, had 88 corridors in 2005. When we redid it in 2017, there are 101 corridors. And many people congratulated me, that your corridor badh gaye. It's not good. It's bad. When number of corridors go up, it means your actual habitats are going down. It's when something is being cut that you want something to connect it. If all our habitats are together, you don't need any connections. They are together already, right? So anyway, our things are going bad, worse. But today there are 101 corridors. The smallest is 2 kilometers. The longest is 44 kilometers. But these are critical areas that we need to protect if we don't keep it aside. And what I've repeatedly told various levels of government and people is that we need to give them right of passage. We don't need to own it. We don't need to own it. The government doesn't need to own it, or we don't need to own it. Sometimes certain things you may need to. Important thing is to allow the elephants to walk through this. So give them the security of moving from A to B. If you do that, the elephants are intelligent enough not to do anything. If you don't do that, the elephants are big. They will kill you. Yeah, so that's a basic thing. I'm not going into great detail of where and how, but we have mapped it all. And you can see that each of these corridors, when we analyze, you can see, for example, 1/4 of the corridors have railway lines passing in the middle of that corridor. Many of them have roads. How is it that so many roads and railways and all go where the elephants are also walking? Why not little here and little there? When the British cut the first roads in India, especially in hilly terrain, they used elephant footprints because that's the most stable gradient. The British were good engineers. So they built their roads looking at elephant footprints. Because the elephant will never put its foot in a place which is treacherous. It will have stable area, only then it will go. So you are cutting your roads and railway lines from that time even to now, because after all today's engineers and today's things have learned the British way only, right? On stable gradient, which is where elephants go. So unfortunately, a lot of our linear infrastructure is exactly on the road of the elephant. So we have to do something for them. But we can do something for them. People have, we have been monitoring all what is used, what is not used, etc. Now, what I was saying there was that we can do overpass and underpasses, and we have now been telling Government of India. For example, today the National Highway Authority, not now, when we did the Gaj Mahotsav, actually in the Gaj Mahotsav, the Secretary NHAI and the Chairman Railway Board and the Secretary MOEF, who were batchmates, but I got them on one stage together to do something for the elephant. I convened that thing, and the Secretary NHAI said that I will do something because for me to build my 100 flyovers is my priority anyway. Why not? I'll give you the flyovers where Ganeshji wants to walk also. Because I'm giving it for pawn shops, I'm giving it for political reasons, I'm giving it for so many reasons. Why not for Ganeshji also? Next 2 months, he had taken out a circular saying any new national highway in India will have wildlife-friendly corridor passages, underpass, overpass built into it. That one notification will really help all wildlife. Remember, elephant is a flagship we are saying, but usi se other animals will also go. It's a very important thing. Okay, so we tried 3 or 4 models. The private purchase model, which is the Kerala model, was we relocated people, we built roads, we bought the land and we gave it to government. Okay. Then there's a community model, which I'll come to. There's a government acquisition model, which we did in Rajaji for the Delhi-Dehradun road and Shatabdi, this thing and all that. Where Forest Department we did the soft hands in helping them. And then what I call the public securement model. Everything doesn't need to be bought or moved, people moved or anything, right? So the private purchase model is what I talked about in Kerala. And I don't want to go into great detail, but if you give people win-win situations, I mean, this particular family I always like to show because it's an old Gowda man who said, I have 4 daughters, and unless you give me a house with 4 bedrooms, because they'll always marry and come and live in my house, I will not move. We built him a 4-bedroom house, right? I didn't have a 4-bedroom house, but I built him a 4-bedroom house, right? Because what they want. When Prince Charles came to visit and we showed him the area generally, he looked at the models. We couldn't take them to every house, but we put models. And he said, oh, they are so lucky. They got different kinds of houses, not cookie cutter. I said, no, we talked to them. He said, I got only the house that I inherited, which is Buckingham Palace, but anyway. So if you really do, move them from places like this to places like this, no human being is unhappy. It's a win-win for people as well as for wildlife, right? So wildlife is coming back. When they started, at that time I owned it, because I bought it. Then I handed it over to government. But for a little period of time, the owner was Wildlife Trust of India, of that area. So when I went there, some national newspaper covered me, standing. I was so happy to see the elephant. I must have done like, my photo le liya. When I bola, first farmer who was happy that elephant is destroying their land. But this is now part of Wayanad Wildlife Sanctuary, because we gave it back to Kerala government. They notified it as Wayanad Wildlife Sanctuary. But we say elephant, but other things also move. But tiger doesn't know it's elephant corridor, right? It's not literate, it'll move. You give it security, everything will use it. Yeah, everything is using the same thing. So it now became Wayanad Wildlife Sanctuary with a legal notification. We showed that this private purchase works. In Northeast, there's no point, because in some parts, less than 10% of the forest lands are with government. Most of it is with tribal communities, a Schedule 6 areas. So we use their traditional mechanism of conservation. In Garo Hills, for example, 1/4 of land traditionally they use, 1/4 of land is community use, 1/4 of land is for God, and 1/4 of land is for any exigency. Suppose a flood or fire, then they use it. This is the traditional way. So all we said is that what you are keeping aside for God and for exigency, can you please include these corridor parts in that? Interestingly, they said, as long as you include the gibbon also, because that is our sacred totem. So we said, fine, elephant moves down, the gibbon moves on the canopy, but it's okay, canopy and corridor. And then one of them said, but our main food is going, which is the masir, the fish. So we said, okay, canopy, corridor, and catchment. We have one animal representing each, but basically we are saving your forest, your canopy, and your water, right? And we stitched the Garo spine. I gave it a name just walking that Garo Hills with the Garo elders and with the man who's now Chief Minister. But he and his sister were there with us long before. And we walked that area and I said, this is only the spine is left. Rest you're finished by agriculture and people. It's only the real spine of the hills. So I said, why not call this a Garo Green Spine project for your community and protect your spine? Because reed ki haddi agar nahi hai, to you have a problem. In life also, in culture also, or if you're a tribe or this thing. So it is the Garo Green Spine projects. More than 6,000 hectares have been kept aside by the community using their laws. Nobody has given them any money, nothing. They have voluntarily put aside 6,000 hectares, for which, of course, government and we and all support them generally, but not by buying it or whatever, right? And so that is really a very good model. Another area is where there's nothing happening now. So the 101 corridors, many of them are okay, but we don't want them to not become okay. So we have created these young green corridor champions, one per corridor, to keep an eye on the corridor, to tell us if something is going wrong, if to raise the alarm if elephants are moving because of some reason, right? And to celebrate every year. So that's where the celebration concept came in, that everybody has to know that this is a corridor. We don't want to put only the government board there, which is there. Government boards are there. But we also want to secure the elephants' right. And we started partnering with this whole host of people to do all these things. I'm not getting into... So building a social fence. Yeah, you don't need a physical fence, you need a social fence. So not only do they actually... I think this one should work here. Do they actually physically stop traffic if an elephant is moving across a road or whatever? You can see those boys on the right stopping that car. Very often, elephants have to cross. Flyover nahi hai, underpass nahi hai. Ideally, it should be there. But if it's not there, now there are boys across every corridor who will stop. I say boys, but there are girls also, boys and girls, who actually go and patrol and stop as a civil movement. It's not forest department, it's not police. They're locals who are saying this is our area, let the hathi pass or let the yane pass. And they're doing it of their own volition and it's really, really good. Okay. So all these things are there. The signboards are there. We have made it put on all our corridors, so everything is happening in that sense. Similarly, we have made 2 guidelines from IUCN, which actually, first one is a guideline of how to do overpasses, underpasses for highway authority. Next one is an engineering architectural guideline. Now people can just build according to that. What is the height you need? What is the width you need? Where do you need to put it? Terrain mein kya karna chahiye? So now and remember, if you can do it for elephant, everything else will pass. The elephant is the issue, because elephants won't just pass unless you make it the right way. For example, an interesting thing, if the elephant cannot see the other end of the tunnel, it will not pass. It's an interesting fact. Yeah, so if you make this too long, they'll never pass. They have to see the other end. So you have to just construct it in a way in which the elephant can see the other side. Okay, sometimes elephants won't pass unless they can smell other elephants. So one of the first thing I tell all these engineers and PWD people is, "Banaiye, then put elephant dung. Take it from the captive elephants and put it there. You put it 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, elephants will smell, they'll be fine. They'll start using it." So there are some techniques, easier techniques that we know as elephant people how to do this. And therefore now we have been doing it across canals, power lines, roadways, highways. These are the 4 major linear infrastructure which can be a problem for elephants, but need not be. You know, I've gone in China and in Tibet, they've done this over about 2,000 kilometers. They've built under a flyover for their Tibetan antelope. So whenever I talk to our politicians, I tell them, if China can do it, can India be far behind? No, we can't. Surely we can do it. We've got the engineering thing, and we do it, and we do it. So yes, all these guidelines are there, and people can now just follow it. Okay, just see. This is Kaziranga, monsoon. All right. So sorry to show you a bad picture, but I'm saying when we are doing one thing, it's not just for elephants. This happens daily in India. So we can do this. The final thing I want to say is this idea, which actually now you're also coming to. When Nirupamaji came to my office, that's what I said. This is what we've been doing for many years, but great. Now you got intact also in the picture. It'll only become better. So we were taking, as I said, that government report saying, take Gaja to the Praja. One line was this whole thing. Last 10 years we've been doing, taking Gaja to the Praja, right? So how to do it? Number one, in all languages. Huh? So while we say Gaj Yatra, Gaj Mahotsav, Gaj Utsav, first thing when this went to Tamil Nadu, they said, yes, Sanskritization of our language, Tamil mini. So we made it Yane Tiruvare, which is Tamil for this, right? So it's culturally appropriate for every place. Meghalaya mein, Garo mein. They have a word for elephant, which is big brother actually. So big brother, they call it big brother. So whatever they call the animal and thing, we did this. Here we are not talking about the problems of elephants it's not the problem thing. It's celebrating the thing. So this is the one which is trying to, get our people to understand that old thing. We have used all this, whether it's bar and bench or corporate India or whatever. Yeah, and I'll show you some images, and they're all over. So whether it's Bollywood, whether it's the political people of that day, we get everybody together. In the first Gaj Mahotsav, which we did in IGNCA here, we had everything, as you can see, whether it's culture and heritage or policy or Gajasutra, which is the heritage of animals, Gaj Dharma on religious tradition with children, Gajotsava, which is the evening. Somebody said, literally all the biggest musicians, dancers, performers, whether in folk art or our traditional art, came and performed. Whether it was Malika Sarabhai or Astad Debu, or I got literally everybody to come and give their rendition of the elephant. Every evening there was a big thing. Plus the pop, Rahul Ram came and did his musical evening, etc. also. Cinema, Dirigamani. And this was an interesting thing, Gaj Yatra, that's how it started, is that 101 corridors. So from 101 areas, people made elephants in various forms. Mitti se, bamboo se, sculptures, some were art pieces, some were children's things, but they were all about this big. And they came to meet the Prime Minister of India or the Minister. They're coming from each state to come and give a message. And they were here for 1 week or 2 weeks in IGNCA, and then they have been placed in various parts across India, including in Rajbhavans across India, in some railway stations, metro stations. So in public places, they have gone and representing the view of the people of India. And now this has then gone to every part of, this of course the same thing. We had media conclaves, we had international conclaves, all sorts of things we had. This was a good one with all the politicians. I myself coordinated the panel called Elephant and Apolitical Animal. Literally every political party was there. Whether it's Congress, BJP, everybody came. CPIM had Meghalayan ministers, everybody came. Then now we have been moving across various states. So there is Kerala, there is Tamil Nadu, yeah, West Bengal. So this is just basically moving across. Yeah, Uttarakhand has just started, Odisha, and so we're doing the same things across these various states. I think that's a small clip on Odisha. It's happening, or just finished, I think. And so this will take a whole thing, and it's supposed to come either 2026 or early 2027 back to Delhi. So if we can have this collaboration with Gajlok, maybe somewhere around that time we can do a major function here, maybe in collaboration, and make it even big. I don't want to get into very large this thing. So that's it, folks. What I'm saying is we want elephants to move freely in nature like this, and not be stuck in our rooftops and linear infrastructure. And there was one photo which I don't see here where elephant is actually standing on somebody's roof. From one side the hill must have been cut and somebody has built a home. So it's actually moved onto a terrace of somebody's house. So this is not what we want. We want elephants to have free movement. So that's really it. Yeah, okay. So we want this. That's it for my presentation. Thank you. Now I will take this.
Anyone has any questions?
I think I'm on time, right?
Thank you for such a wonderful talk. I had a question regarding transboundary corridors, and how do you think one could, especially in your work, how would you facilitate the movement of elephants between, let's say, India and Nepal in the Terai Park landscape? And would different divisions in the forest divisions and the ranges have to work together for that? And the second part of my question would be the elephant in the room development. And does one need safeguards in these corridors, especially environmental safeguards, to secure these corridors for the rites of passage? Thank you.
Yeah. So, I mean, the second one I, in a sense, already addressed. I mean, I showed you how, for example, linear infrastructure can easily, coexist with elephants as long as they build the overpass and underpasses. It's not necessary that you actually cut the area to go through it. This is an 18th century concept. We can move ahead of that. Technology is there to move out of this. There's AI and other technologies which I didn't show, which we have been using for the trains. I mean, what a waste of trains also, and passenger safety, elephants being hit by trains. This doesn't happen anywhere except India and Sri Lanka. We have to solve this. No? We don't want our people being endangered, nor the elephants. So today there are AI technologies which can sense elephants moving. There are 2 or 3 kinds of electronic eyes which can send a signal and put the signal down and stop the train. So why not implement this? So there are many ways to safeguard that, which is, I think, is being implemented. But as usual in India, scale defeats you. You do it in one place, but another place it doesn't. One state adopts it, one state doesn't. That's all. But I hope it'll happen. But your first question of international borders, in Bangladesh, we did a fairly good thing. Bangladesh, they identified 8 or 9 crossings. And at one stage, there was a major issue of it going. But now, as you know, it's completely fenced. And there are those gates. But the CRPF, CRPF there, or is it BSF? I forget. BSF there. So the BSF there actually have been trained to open the gate to allow elephants to move through in certain seasons for certain periods. They look out, and when the elephants are coming, they allow the elephants to move through. So, for example, and then there are these transboundary meetings between Indian and BSF side, which includes elephants in the agenda. So there is. Nepal, we've had a little issue, but we've had a little issue with Nepal for many things. So they have built a retaining wall on their side, which is now moving elephant paths into North Bengal and creating more damage. But that's a matter of discussion, and I'm sure India could bilaterally take it up in some way and try to solve that also. Yeah.
Yeah, is it possible to allocate area for elephants exclusively so that there is no human intervention in the name of development of any types of infrastructure or something like that?
So the core wildlife areas, the national parks are there, are supposed to be free of human pressure, the core of a national park. So many of those such places have elephants. So There are no human beings inside it, or maybe there are some very few old tribal hamlets or something, but otherwise there's no development inside our national park. So 6% of India is more or less free from that sort of pressure. Yeah? About 6%. The rest of the 12%, which we say are protected, has some issues, right? But like I told you, if you want to have a place where elephants live and nobody else goes, you have to have that place that's so big. Kruger, 20,000 square kilometer. Okay? Serengeti, 25,000 square kilometer. Corbett National Park, 700 square kilometer. Okay? Ranthambore, some 450 square kilometer. So we don't have land in this country. So no, answer is you cannot. You have to learn to coexist and stitch together these things.
I had a question on here.
Yeah.
This is regarding capture of wild elephants for various reasons, be it temples or whatever other the reasons be. Do you see an end to that practice?
No, temples, no capture for a long, long time. So I can answer it in two different levels, I suppose. Illegality, it's illegality. But legally, capture of elephants is not there except when the state rules that that animal is a threat to human life, which can be for tiger, elephant, whatever, which the Chief Wildlife Warden has to rule that this animal should be captured. And that doesn't go to a temple or something. It will be in the Forest Department's captivity. Even that we are trying, that does not happen very often. Right? But extreme cases, they'll have to do it when elephant has killed somebody or something like that. Temple is a different issue. It's a very interesting issue because, again, as I said, I come from Kerala, where these elephants have been used, not just for temples. I mean, it used to be a temple tradition. Tradition is what? Tradition is that you go to God 364 days and one day God comes to you. So how does God come to you? Pedal to nahi aayenge, so it comes on an elephant back. That is the tradition, right? And therefore, all of Kerala goes mad and feeds it bananas, and children will go and love it and pet it, and the temple gets lots of money also because you give donation also. But today it is done by churches and mosques. So God comes even if you're Christ, even if you're Allah, formless, even then it comes. The mosques use 100 elephants sometimes. Today the biggest elephant processions are Muslim in Kerala, followed by Christianity. So everybody uses elephants. So it's gone past the temple. Temple usage itself in Gaja, as I said, the ministry's report in which I was a member when Jairam Ramesh was the minister and Mahesh Rangarajan was chairing that committee, and we were all members. Sukumar was also a member, I was also a member. That it did say that it's a very complex cultural scenario. It cannot be immediately addressed, but eventually, I think we have to look at a world where we don't use the wild elephant for temple procession. And very boldly, that report compared it to the Devdasi tradition. That it is a living life, it is part of our tradition, it is part of temple tradition, but it is causing immense suffering. And at some stage, the society has to find a way of replacing it with something which doesn't cause suffering. We did say it. And I still remember Jairam Ramesh said, you will get me my effigy burnt by putting all these things in the report. But we did, actually. So, but these changes have to come from within society. You cannot impose it.
And the other allied question I had was not directly related to elephants, but captured elephants in zoos across the world. Do you see a time once the present animals in the zoos run their lives, that is again a cruel practice that we will discontinue?
Are you talking elephants in zoos or zoos? Because the two are different. Zoos in general may not discontinue at all. In fact, they are reinventing themselves very well. And they have moved into a phase where they are not capturing animals, all the good zoos at least, are not capturing animals and actually are breeding animals and giving back into the wild. So zoos are reinventing like hell. Okay? And I'm not necessarily meaning a zoo here or whatever, but I'm just saying around the world. I'm saying that they have realized that their time as an old age menagerie of capturing is gone. They have reinvented. They are becoming conservation partners. They've been looking at ways to breed animals to put it back or doing something like that. Meanwhile, people see it also. So they make their money too. So anyway, they're reinventing. But elephant in zoo has always been a problem because, as I said, elephant is a social animal and intelligent animal, so they suffer more. And many zoos are now saying no. I think it was Detroit which actually put a stone elephant at the entrance with a big board saying, if you want to see an elephant, you see it here at the stone. We don't keep it because we can't keep it because it's cruel, it's too cold, whatever. They gave the answer and the people accepted it. The zoo people accepted that. So some zoos are moving towards that, some zoos are not. But elephants are there in zoos. But zoos as a whole, I'm telling you, I've seen a remarkable change over the years from what we think as zoos because we are still seeing some things here. But if you go around the world, they're changing dramatically.
Regarding the NHAI notification that you talked about, is it still in place
Yeah.
as a
Yeah.
because that the Doiwala tollway, that 6-lane thing that has been built, is that a national corridor for elephants?
I think it is. I'm not exactly
But
sure of
there's
which
no,
one.
I mean,
No, you're talking
Doiwala,
about
Lachiwala.
Rajaji. Dehradun.
Yeah, the Rajaji area.
Dehradun, yeah, but there is flyover, no?
It was unbuilt for many years. There was some distributed contractor, not
No, that maybe, but there's a flyover there which is proposed of 4 kilometers, if I'm not
I
wrong.
think they're planning to now make the
The
flyover.
Near Mohand, you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there is a flyover there. I think one flyover has come actually, if I'm not wrong. In the last few years, it has come. I think it has come. Yeah.
So we have seen, coming from Uttarakhand, I have seen people living in coexistence with the wild animals, especially.
Yeah.
So my question arises from the fact that given the recent Supreme Court judgment on the stray dogs, we saw immense and huge protests across country and especially in the capital. But when it came to a few past decisions like the Kandi Link Road and other degradation of the elephant corridors, especially, and adding to that point that now since the elephants are climbing till the middle Shivaliks, they are being seen as pests. So where have we failed, or rather what new innovation or strategy can we bring about to sensitize the common masses about coexistence with wild animals?
नहीं, एक तो आप इसमें उत्तराखंड में हमारा गजोत्सव अभी चल रहा है, आप उसमें भाग लीजिए ना, and spread the awareness. Dogs is in our homes and people feel that emotion. Kandi corridor is in whose home? कोई पता ही नहीं है किसी को. So the issue is to get this issue to people so they feel about it. Kandi corridor, I know, but others don't know what it is. Whereas dogs and pet dogs, a lot of people know. A lot of prominent people knew and supported it. So you need to get public support. You need to go to the public and make it an issue for them. No? So that is why this whole Gajotsav thing, it will not change very easily. Yeah, pet dogs are much easier for people to emote with. What is the other question you asked?
I'll give you an example. In Ramnagar, Uttarakhand, there was this juvenile elephant which was famous for stopping the vegetable trucks and taking things there. He was quite famous there. And unfortunately, he died during treatment by some anesthesia by the forest department. Yet, there was nothing about that. So even the people who have seen elephants since their very childhood, who have lived with them, I'm talking about Ramnagar and the Haridwar region, I've seen a lack of sensitivity among
So
them.
lack of sensitivity is there. That's what I'm telling. That's exactly
So
why I'm saying.
how do we
But that
address
is not nothing to do with this case. Whether you have sensitivity or not, and a doctor can make a mistake. People also die on the operating table, and here also some animals will die. I don't know about this case. I've never heard of it. But it's possible somebody made a mistake, or that animal had some issues. Many a time in tranquilization, animals die because they have premorbidities, which people don't know. Unlike in human things, when you go to a hospital, they ask you, na, diabetes hai, hypertension hai, ye hathi ko koi puch nahi sakta. When they tranquilize it, if the animal has already got some morbidities, there are chances of mortality. So anyway, I don't know this case, what that is, but that has nothing to do with sensitivity. But sensitization is needed for other things. Okay.
Okay,
think we are
then
done with
I
questions.
think we'll wrap this session, and may I invite Chairman Shri Ashok Singh Thakurji to hand over a small token of appreciation to Vivek. Yeah, bring it. has some publication on WhatsApp where paintings, and some of these wall paintings will have gajars, and I hope you enjoy going through them. There are several lakh square feet of wall paintings that we have documented. We have tea outside near the entrance, so please join us for tea.